What is up, Sexy Beast? Bald Pina Colada here, and today we'll be taking a look at the RPK and putting it up against the RPD and seeing which is the better weapon to have. So let's go ahead and get this shit started. So I'm so glad you guys asked about my new merchandise. I do have 2 new t-shirts in the shop, and they are absolutely amazing. My friend Carson actually made them for me, and I gotta say, they're pretty fucking cool. They are the t-shirts you are seeing right now on screen, so if you would like one, go ahead and check out that link right down there below. It'll take you straight to my t-shirt shop. And I have worn both of these shirts on stream, and I gotta say, they're pretty nice. So if you want to help support my channel, or you just want some cool merchandise, go ahead and check that out. So you guys should know the deal by now. The first thing I'm gonna do is let you guys watch and listen to each of these weapons, just so you guys can get a feel for them and actually decide for yourself which one you think sounds and looks better. So here you go. Alright, so now let's actually get into the background information of both these weapons. These weapons are very, very similar because, well, one kind of replaced the other. So let's talk about the RPD first because it was the first one. So the RPD is a Russian 7.62x39 LMG and was actually made from 1945 to today. It's actually still being used today, not as commonly as the RPK, but it is actually still used. And this weapon was actually ready to be used at the end of World War II, but it actually did not see large-scale production until 1953 during Vietnam. Now this weapon actually did replace the DP machine gun of World War II, and then this actually got replaced by the RPK, and there's a couple different variants of this weapon, the Type 56, which was made in China, and the Type 62, which was made in Egypt and North Korea. Now there are a couple different variants of the RPD, but mainly those variants are just upgrading it a little bit, and just really fixing the faults that the original one had, so there's really not too many different variants of it. Now let's talk about the RPK, the weapon that actually replaced the RPD. So the RPK is also going to be a Russian 7.62x39 LMG, and was actually made in the late 1950s, but was actually put into service in 1961 and is still used by some countries today. And unlike the RPD, this weapon actually does have a ton of variants. You got the RPKS, which actually has a folded wooded stock and is actually used for air assault infantry. You get the RPK-74, which was made alongside the AK-74, and is basically the LMG version of the AK-74. You can actually interchange the magazines and everything. They're very fucking similar. And you also have the RPK-S74, which is the paratrooper version with a folded wooded stock of the RPK-74, and you also have the RPK-74M, which is an updated version of the previous gun, and you also have nighttime versions of all these guns. So there are a ton of different variants with the RPK, and the RPK, being almost the same exact thing as an AK-74, is a much needed improvement over the RPD. Alright, so now that you know a little bit of background information about both these weapons in real life, let's go ahead and look at these weapons side by side. So we're going to start off with the fire rate. I'm going to start shooting at the exact same time. Both of these weapons are going to carry 100 in their respective magazines, and they're going to have the exact same fire rate. Now it might be a frame or two off, that's just because of, you know, video game stuff, but in actuality they are going to have the same exact fire rate, so there's not going to be really any differences there. Now when it comes to accuracy, that's where it's going to be a little bit different. How do I say this nicely? The RPD fucking sucks when it comes to accuracy. Just look at how much recoil. The recoil couldn't even hit the house. The house is right in front of me, and I couldn't even hit the house with majority of my shots. It just went up and to the left and was like sightseeing and just trying to shoot birds or some shit. The RPK, really, really good with accuracy. Those bullets are going to go exactly where you want them to go. You really don't have to compensate that much. But the RPD must have a very, very tiny penis because you need to compensate for a lot of it, because that recoil is going to go all over the place. Honestly, you're going to have a much better time actually just hip firing with this thing than ADSing, because when you're hip firing, you're going to be a lot more accurate. The thing's not going to have that much recoil, similar with the RPK. So when it comes to hip fire, I'm going to say they're pretty much dead even. But if we're talking about recoil now, that RPD seriously needs to see some therapy or some shit, because that recoil is atrocious. And next up, if we actually take a look at the reload speed is definitely going to go to the RPK. It gets the luxury of just having a magazine thrown inside of it, so it's going to be a lot faster than the RPD. So now let's upgrade both these weapons and really see what all changes once you actually get them upgraded. So the RPD, or an upgrade to the Relativistic Punishment Device, God, I hope I pronounced that right. Its fire rate is going to stay the exact same once you actually do upgrade it. Its magazine size is going to increase from 100 to 125, and its reserve ammo is going to increase from 400 to 750. Unupgraded wise, it has a pretty decent amount of damage. It's actually more powerful than the RPK, but once you actually do upgrade it, it's pretty much going to be the same exact thing as the RPK. And speaking of the RPK, once you actually upgrade that thing to the R115 Resonator, its fire rate is going to stay the exact same. Its magazine size, similar to the RPD, is going to increase from 100 to 125. Its reserve ammo, unfortunately, is only going to go from 400 to 500, so when it comes to ammo, the RPD is going to be the winner there. And when it comes to overall damage, the RPK is going to fall a little bit behind, but once you actually upgrade it, they're pretty much going to be even. But that's not taking into consideration the headshot and chest shot and ball shot multipliers. Those always could be a lot different, but when it comes to just base damage, they're going to top out at the exact same amount of damage. So just to prove to you that I'm not lying and that the fire rate does stay the exact same, here are these two side by side going off on 125 bullets. And like I said, I'm not a liar. Their fire rate is going to be the exact same. Now once you actually upgrade it, the accuracy does improve a lot for the RPD. Once you get these bad boys upgraded, I would say accuracy-wise, they're pretty much dead even. One doesn't really have a huge advantage over the other. The RPD is not going all over the place. It must have taken some pills or something because it doesn't need to compensate for as much. So recoil-wise and hipfire-wise, I would say these weapons are pretty much dead even. And lastly, if we take a look at the reload speed, the RPK is still going to be the winner here. Again, it does have the luxury of just sticking a magazine right on in, so of course, it's going to be a lot faster. Alright, so now let's go ahead and take a look at both these weapons on round 50 and see which is the better weapon to have. Let's take a look at the RPD first. So really the main draw that I find appealing about the RPD, and surprisingly no, it's not its recoil, it's actually just going to be the amount of fucking ammo this thing actually does carry. It's going to carry an impressive amount of ammo for an LMG. And when I mean impressive, I really do mean impressive because it carries a fuck ton. And it actually might carry more than a fuck ton. It might be 2 fuck tons. I don't know, we're going to have to see the bylaws about that. It's kind of a gray area. So early round wise, the RPD might actually be an excellent choice, and you would think, oh, it carries a lot of ammo, it's an LMG, it's going to be pretty powerful, it might be pretty decent on high rounds, and boy, could you not be further from wrong. If you guys have been a fan of my channel for a while, you would know that I'm not the world's biggest fan of LMGs. I don't really like how they slow your movement down, and even though they have a ton of ammo, to me that doesn't really make up for the slow movement speed, and on high rounds, I would not recommend the RPD. You are going to get some kills, yes, but that's just because of the amount of ammo you actually do have. You're not putting out like an impressive amount of damage or anything. It doesn't have an incredible fire rate to where you're killing zombies incredibly quick. It just carries a fuck ton of ammo. And like the Soviet way, it's all in the numbers. Eventually you're gonna kill a zombie just because you're hitting it with so many goddamn bullets. And honestly, to me, unless you're just trying to get points, I would never grab the RPD. The unupgraded version, that recoil is just such a turnoff. It's honestly up there with the hammer. So unless I'm just using it for points, unless I'm just using it to fuck around, I don't ever see myself grabbing the RPD with the intentions to actually upgrade the thing. There are so many better weapons for actually getting you to higher rounds or actually doing Easter eggs. I just wouldn't recommend the RPD. But if we take a look at the RPK on high rounds, it's going to be even more useless. As we all know, Black Ops 1 weapons and zombies are not that good. They are severely underpowered and just severely bad on high rounds. On round 50, you'll be lucky to get some kills. You might get a couple just because this thing does carry a lot of ammo for a general weapon. For an LMG, it doesn't really carry that much, but for a general weapon in all of Call of Duty Zombies, it does carry a pretty decent amount. So eventually you will get some kills, but I do think you would get more kills with the RPD than you would with the RPK. The RPK does not carry the same amount of ammo as the RPD, and when it comes to base damage, they both basically do the same amount, and I'm going to go ahead and assume the headshot multipliers are pretty even, so really the only deciding factor with these two weapons is going to be the mobility, which I'm assuming they're both going to be very, very similar, and also the amount of ammo. Since the RPD is going to carry more ammo, you're statistically going to get more kills. So if you had a gun to my head and told me to choose which one would you rather have on round 50, I'm going to choose the RPD just because it carries more ammo. You're going to be able to get a couple more kills, and that's really about it. Honestly, you can kind of go with either one. If you were to ask me which weapon would I choose on early rounds, I'm definitely going to go with the RPK. It's going to be the more reliable and faster weapon. The recoil is not going to be going all over the place, and you have a faster reload speed. But these weapons absolutely are god-awful on high rounds, and I would not recommend either one of them. They're okay on early rounds, okay on mid rounds, but high rounds, they are atrocious. So So I'm very curious to know, let me know down below, which weapon do you guys prefer more? Not which weapon do you guys think is better, just which weapon do you guys happen to enjoy more? So real quick, I just want to say shout out to my Patreon supporters. You guys are awesome as hell. I'm going to start Twitch streaming here in about 2 weeks or something like that. Somewhere in that general area. I'm going to try to find a way to get my Patreons more involved in that, so make sure you guys keep your eyes out for that. If you want to be a Patreon supporter, go ahead and check it out. Link will be right down below. And also while you're down there, go buy my t-shirts that I mentioned earlier in the video because they're awesome and you know you want one. And while you're down there, follow me on Instagram, Twitch, and Twitter. All those links will also be down below. You know you want to follow me on stuff because you love me and you think I'm bald and sexy. And also following me on those websites is a much easier way to come in contact with me and a much easier way to keep up to date with me. And lastly, hopefully you guys have a fantastic day and I will see you in the next video. Peace.